Welcome to another session of Composite Chalk Talk. My name is Peter Tran from Composite Software. In this session, we will discuss legacy, modernization with data virtualization. So what's considered legacy? Well, it's old systems, of course. Systems have been around for years and years. They've had their uses, but they're typically on obsolete hardware or software, or many times both. So these are very old hardware, and the code that's written in for the software are also old as well. And there are limited technical supports. What I'm drawing here is just some pillars or some support that needs to keep the system up and running. And of course they're old. They were built years ago for a different purpose, different time, and they can't keep up with current requirements. They're too slow, and they're just incompatible with newer and better systems. So how do we get here? Well, I think many of you know upgrade efforts are manual in nature for the most part, trying to get these systems modernized. Manual is very problematic, as we all know. Again, they're error prone, they're slow, they're expensive. And it's just too easy to support the status quo. Just keep the system going for another few months, for another few years. Keep everything going the way they are. Better than going through the pain and the risk of trying to modernize it. And of course, if you don't upgrade the old system, then you'll always have them out there. So your environment probably contains a bunch of old and new systems combined. New systems, as new needs arise, you install the new and deploy the new systems. But the old systems are always there too, because you have them managing the existing business processes. So your IT environment looks probably something like this. This is very simplified, obviously. So what I've drawn here is, on top I have these consuming applications of data, or systems that actually a person would actually see, and then on the bottom I'm trying to represent data sources, or where the data comes from, as a way of dividing up or organizing my old and new systems. And one way that you can look at it is an old system or consuming application is getting data from an old system, so that's pretty typical. But you also have the situation where a new system is accessing data from a relatively new data source, and that data source could also be feeding an older system. So you have that mixture as well. So, and then the other situation is where you have a new system pulling data from a new data source, and then of course the new system could be accessing a data source as well. So you have a mixture of good and bad, old and new. How do you deal with it? How do you actually get rid of the old stuff so that you can save cost of the maintenance, get the most efficiency out of a newer system? So this is where data virtualization comes in. Data virtualization allows you to have a middle layer, a data layer that sits in between applications that consume the data and data sources that actually contain the data itself. So to provide you a data layer that allows the data sources to feed the middle layer, and then the middle layer would then feed the various consuming applications that actually need the data. This helps with the modernization process because it helps abstract away the complexity of the old and the new. What you can do once you have the middle layer into place is you can remove an old system, and the rest of your IT environment wouldn't know any better. They wouldn't worry about the disruption that took place, and then install the new system, and then once again not have the rest of your data environment or IT environment be burdened by the complexity that took place in making that change. So you can do that again for other systems, other consuming applications, modernizing your front-end applications, and then you can do the same for the back-end data sources. So removing an old data source, putting in a new one, and the rest of your IT environment remains consistent. It's up and running. All the users are not worried about what's taking place, and it simplifies your modernization process. It reduces the cost of migrating. It reduces the cost of actually transitioning from one system to another, and it actually helps accelerate your modernization process, so you can take advantage of the newer functionality, the cost savings of running the new system, and of course just getting rid of the old systems where you don't have the resources and knowledge of maintaining it anymore. So that's how data virtualization helps with legacy modernization. It first provides a consistent data layer, and it hides the complexity during the migration of an old system to a new one. And of course, overall, it saves cost of maintaining the legacy system. Hope that helps. Again, my name is Tran of Composite Software.